How are you today? So I am coming on live today to talk to you about what to do if you've got a script or two or three and you really want to get them made, and so far they have not been made. And maybe you're in a position where you're still excited about it all and you have faith that it's going to happen, but maybe you're feeling a little bit fed up. Maybe you're feeling like it's never going to happen, like the miracle's never going to come. So let me know, if you're coming on here live just now, if you have a script that you want to see get made into a movie. So do you have a script that you want to see get made into a movie? And I'm just trying to, let me see here. I was just trying to record on there because I actually record this. I'm able to record. I'm having a problem with my thing over there. Well, let's not worry about it. Let's just chat over here. So, hello, beautiful friends. How are you? I see a whole bunch of people just coming on live. So if you're coming on live, please say hello and let's dive into this. So today's topic is about getting your script made into a movie. Maria said, I'm working on one right now. Fantastic. This is probably, it will feel like one of the most challenging parts of your journey. Like the first challenging part of the journey of a screenwriter is actually getting your screenplay written, getting it done. The second thing is getting it done to a place where you feel really proud of it and you feel like this is really good and it's really worthy of being made. Now, both of those two stages, they take work. They don't happen easily for a lot of us. Those alone can take you years and years. But those two stages are just all about you. Like nothing can stop you from writing your script except for you. Nothing can stop you from writing a good one except for you, right? Those are on you. Nobody else is involved in that. It's up to you to devote yourself and dedicate yourself to actually getting the scripts written. And I'm just seeing some of you are coming on. I just want to say hello, Untold Short Shorts, Lee, hello, Sana, welcome. Madriz, I want to make short films with actual stories. Just to have a problem. Okay, that's a big question. I'm going to put a pin in that for the second and we'll continue talking. So those are the first two stages of this journey. The first two stages are actually just to get a script written and to get a good script written. And if you're in that phase, I know it can be a real challenge too. Right? And I'm not going to whitewash that. But after we actually get to the point that we have a script, oh, Ali, I totally understand this, and we'll talk about that too, because I went through that for years, and we're going to touch on this. So once you get to that point where you actually have a script, and you're like, this is good, you come to the next phase of the journey, which is, how do I get this thing actually made into a movie? Like how is this going to happen? And for most of us, unless we were born with a bunch of contacts in Hollywood or something, for most of us, this is quite an overwhelming and terrifying stage because it's like, I don't know anybody in the industry. I don't know really much about the film industry. I don't know how to make the movie myself. I just don't know much, right? And now we're at a stage of the journey which is not just about us. Notice again that writing a screenplay and getting good at screenwriting is just you, right? It's on you. Like nobody can stop you and, you're the only one. Like it's just you. But when you get to this stage, it becomes about other people too. And it also becomes about their opinions of your work. Because you cannot get a film financed and you can't sell a script unless other people read your work and say, yeah, I think this would be good too. So it's not just, do I think this is good? Do I like it? But can I convince other people too that this is good and this is worthy? And, let's get this made. So this phase of the journey can be really, really hard because one thing that I know about this phase of the journey is it can go on a long time. And another thing I know about it is it can involve a lot of rejection. I mean, a lot. And rejection is hard, especially when you have not yet made anything. You're not proven in the marketplace. So you've written your script, you've worked on your script, you believe it's a freaking gem of a movie, but now you take it to market and all you're getting is no, we don't like it. We don't want it. And this is really, really hard. You'll start to doubt yourself. Now, some of you may know my story and you might know the first part of my story, which is that I wrote a screenplay And it took me years to write it. So that part of the journey, it took years. But finally, I had a script that I was really proud of and felt really like, this is so good. And I went out there to sell it. And guess what? I did sell it. It took me 1 year. I did have rejections in that year. I did have a lot of rejections. I had a lot of people say no. But finally, I had someone say yes. And actually, a year is not long. Many of you will be like, a year, that's fast. It's not long in the big scheme of things. But what you might not know is that from there, I did get hired to write other screenplays, and I started to make my money as a screenwriter. And that was amazing. That felt like a big win. But nothing was getting made. Nothing was actually getting onto the screen. Now, if you're in Hollywood for half a minute, you'll hear people talk about development hell. And there's a moment on your journey where you're like, I would love to be part of development hell. That sounds like heaven, like I actually got paid. So isn't that the win? But you'll get to a point as an artist where just being paid for your work doesn't really feel that satisfying if it doesn't actually get made and reach an audience. You didn't actually get into writing screenplays just to make money. I guarantee it. Because honestly, if you are in screenwriting just to make money, I'm going to save you a lot of pain right now and tell you there's easier ways to make money, right? There's easier ways, there's faster ways, there's more guaranteed ways. If it's just for the money, don't do it. This is not the path. We do this, we write our screenplays because we have stories we want to tell, that we want to connect with the world. Right? And that's it. It's always going to be it. There's something coming through us. And often it's not even clear to us why it's coming through to us. It's often not clear why it matters to the world, but there's some story coming through you. You're like, I got to get this made. Like I want it to be out in the world. So the goal as a screenwriter isn't really just to sell our work. The goal is to see it on the screen. It's to see it up on the screen so that it is connecting with audiences. And that's really where I reached a certain point where I was like, oh my God, like I've been paid and, things seem to be going, but nothing's getting made. Nothing is getting made. Now, at this point, I want to share with you something that I just found this week. And I thought I have to share this. And I already shared this in some of my groups, like in the network, we talked about this. And in my Screenwriters Intensive, we talked about this. But here's my journal that I discovered the other day. And I don't know, who here is a journaler? Do you journal a lot? Like I've been a mad journaler since the 1990s. I have a lot of journals. And, it's that thing where I found this one. It wasn't with all the other journals. I don't know why it was off on its own. I was like, when the heck was this from? And I opened it up and I opened it to a page and I put a little tag in it so I can find the page easily for you. I just opened it and went, where was this from? And I started reading and I just went, ah. And I want to share with you this because this has really got something that I think every screenwriter needs to hear, right? So this is an entry from July 30th, 2008. And at this point, I had been in Los Angeles for like two and a half years. This was about probably, I want to say 6 months after these films that I'd been working on had sort of fallen apart. I was writing a thing for myself. I'd written the script. And I had submitted it to the Sundance Screenwriters Lab. And I was really like, I really want to find a way to get this one made. I know this is a weird movie. This is a quirky script. But it's one that I feel completely obsessed with. Like, does anybody know that feeling? You're like, this has got to be a movie. And I had submitted it to the Sundance Labs. And this is July 30th, 2008. And you can see it there. This is totally real. So I just learned that Obsoletia, my script, has not been selected for Sundance. Not a surprise, but still a little disappointed. One hopes for the miracle, it never comes. This is actually true. With every rejection comes the thought, maybe I'm no good. And then I think, fuck it. What are you going to do? Be Tom Kennedy O'Toole or Fernando de Pessoa? I'll explain. Keep writing and choose the latter. Okay. And that was the journal entry right there. Now, there's a few things that I want to say about this journal entry. When I read it, I got sort of I just had that funny sort of goosebumps. I thought, good Lord, because here's a couple of things. First of all, I was so depressed at this point. The two writers that I mentioned, I don't know if you know of either of them. So the first one, Kennedy O'Toole, he wrote a book called The Confederacy of Dunces. You might have read it. The Confederacy of Dunces is a brilliant comic novel, which he wrote, and it was the second novel he'd written, and he tried to get it published everywhere, and guess what? He could not get it published, and he became so depressed that he actually killed himself. Now, his mother didn't give up, and she kept taking his book around, and what happened was an English lit professor from some university read it and said, this is good. and helped get it published. Lo and behold, it won the Pulitzer Prize. It was declared a work of genius. It's become a modern classic. But he had killed himself because he couldn't get it published. He'd become so depressed. Now, the second writer is Fernando de Pessoa, who also never published anything in his lifetime. He was a Portuguese poet who just wrote and wrote and wrote, tried to get things published, never got any headway, but kept writing. Finally, when he died, someone found his whole archive, all his work, and they were like, oh my God, this stuff's amazing. Got it published, and now he's a world-renowned poet and, highly considered. I actually have 3 books of his poetry on my shelves. I love his work. So what is interesting to me is that at this point, when my script got rejected, right, where it was like, it's not going further in Sundance. I mean, first of all, that thing of praying for a miracle that never comes, right? Anyone have that feeling ever where you're like, oh my God, it just seems like all you get is rejected? Second of all, that feeling like the doubt that creeps in. Maybe I'm deluding myself. Maybe I'm not any good. Maybe my work's not good. But third, I was at the point where I wasn't even thinking like, oh my God, one day your time's going to come. I'm just kind of like, I'm resigned to the fact that my time will probably never come. And okay, I'm going to keep going anyway. Right? Like even if I never get anything published, even if my films never get made, I am here to write what I am here to write, and I'm going to keep writing. I want to be Fernando de Pessoa. I don't want to be the writer who gives up. I don't want my writing to be dependent on whether it gets made or not. Like, I'm going to stay in my lane and do my work no matter what, no matter if no one pays attention. Now, what's really interesting though, that's July 30th, 2008. Well, by November 30th, 2009, so how many months, like 1 year and August, September, October, November, 1 year and 4 months later, so 16 months later, I had made that movie, right? I had that movie made. It was in the can. It was almost completed. And you know what else? It got accepted for the Sundance Film Festival. So the lab had turned it down, and I was like depressed for a moment. You can hear it. I was depressed that day, right? But 16 months later, the miracle came. The miracle came. So me sitting there going, the miracle, you keep praying for the miracle and it never comes, the miracle came. 16 months later, not that much later. Now, I'm sharing this with you because no matter where you are on this journey, the miracle is coming. The miracle is coming. But it can only come if you commit on that level whereby it's not like I'm just here for the miracle. And if I don't get the miracle, I'm going to rage quit. Right? I quit. We're not going to be like O'Toole. We're not giving up because we didn't get it published. We're going to be like Fernando de Pessoa. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep working no matter what. And we're going to keep the faith and stay committed. And the next thing is you're going to find ways to keep making your work, to doing your work. Because here's the thing. The miracle came for me because I decided actually to make the film myself. I decided that I was done with waiting for somebody else to choose it, for somebody else to make it happen. And I just decided, do you know what? I'm just going to figure this out and make it myself. Now, here was an entry from October 24th, 2008. So I keep thinking to myself, just keep faith. Keep walking steadily in the direction of your dreams and everything will turn out good. And not just turn out good, but be good every day as it is now. Okay? And like I went, that's it in a nutshell. If you want to call in the miracle with your screenplay, you got to just keep faith and you got to keep walking in that direction. And it's got to be unconditional. And what I mean by that is you're not walking only if you get the success you want. You're not walking in the direction only if you're getting validation. You're not walking in the direction only if things are working out, only if it seems like it's going to happen. You're walking in the direction like Fernando de Pessoa with the commitment to your craft, to your work, to getting their stories out there. Because if you feel called to write these stories and they are coming through you, they deserve to come out into the world because somebody is waiting to hear it. Somebody is waiting to see it. And so I wanted to today just to remind you, right? The miracle is coming. And you will have days on this path where you think it's not, just like I have, right? I have had these days. People always say to me, but how do you always have faith? I don't always have faith. I have days where I am just like every other human in this world, where I'm on my knees and I am crying and I'm like, why is nothing working for me? Because that's part of this journey. That's part of being human. That's definitely part of being an artist. It's unavoidable. You're going to have days where you're like, it's never working. It's never going to work. And then you know what you do? You pick yourself up and you say, okay, let me keep walking in that direction, because what's my option? I could quit. What the heck is the point of that? I've come this far. I'm going to keep going no matter what. Now, the next stage of this, though, is I'm going to innovate. I'm going to innovate. Right? And I really want you to consider that, because I think for a lot of people, what happens is we get stuck in certain ruts of what's possible and what we can do. So we think, for instance, if our goal is to get a script on the screen, that we've just got to keep plowing the same thing. We've got to keep doing the same thing. So we're just like trying to sell the script, doing the same, sending out the same query letter to all different people, blah, 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 entering the competitions, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. My invitation to you today is innovate, is think differently about what you're doing. Attack it from different angles. Be willing to see it differently. Be willing to do it differently. What it took for me to create the miracle was deciding to make the film myself. And I know that there's actually only one way that you can really guarantee your script gets on the screen. There's one way, and that is deciding to do it yourself, right? You can go after producers, you can go after selling your script, and I'm not saying don't do those things, but I'm also going to say that one of the most empowered moves you can make as a screenwriter is to decide to actually make it happen to yourself, right? And that's that thing of stepping into producer's shoes yourself. Too many of us are sitting waiting for somebody to choose us. We're sitting waiting for the fairy godmother to come to say, you. But the problem is, when we don't have any momentum behind us, we don't have a proven body of work, it's really difficult to get that. Now, I'm not ever going to say it's impossible. I would never say that that cannot happen and it will not happen, because it can happen and it does happen. But I want you to be honest with yourself about, are you really all in? Are you really doing everything that you can? And if you've decided somewhere in your soul, you're like, Diane, I am ready to make my own film, I'm excited for you. I'm like, congratulations. And I'm also going to say it's one of the best decisions you could ever make in your life. I believe a lot of screenwriters are actually closeted directors. And by that, I mean, they really want to direct, except they're like, I couldn't direct. I don't know enough about making films. I couldn't do that. But I'm going to say this, and I've said it many times, that in order to be a great director, what you need is to be somebody that really has a great vision for a movie. And then you have to be a really great communicator, so that you can talk to people, so that you can explain to them, so that they can help make it come real. You need to be the visionary, and you need to communicate the vision. And that's really the job of a director. I don't think I have it in me. Maybe you do. And maybe, and this is that thing, maybe you have a script right now that you've been trying to get out there, and you look and you're like, I would have no idea how to direct this. It has car chases, it has explosions, it has big fights, or it has like big special effects. And, in that case, you're like, I have no idea how to do that. And I would say, don't. But what I would say is consider writing something that you could do. And see that as like a fun challenge. Like, what if I was going to make something, what would I make? Like, what kind of thing would I do? Could I do? And that is how I wrote the script of Obsolydia. Like, I really wrote it from the perspective of what could I do? What do I feel like is feasible for me? Who could I get? What locations could I get? What could I write that would match these places and that's about my obsessions? And it's a good place to work from. It's a great place to start from as a screenwriter, to write a script like that. People who go, oh, but all my ideas are really big. You're a writer, for Christ's sake, Like, I'm firmly in the David Mamet camp. He says, give me 2 characters with opposing views and I can give you a movie. And I agree, like, you don't need all the stuff. Explore your writing. if you are sort of like hearing this, you're kind of like, well, maybe I would like to write something and direct it, then really like think about what you could write. Now, I'm going to wrap this up in a second, but the big takeaway, the miracle is coming. Somebody just said, the miracle just happened. That's amazing. The miracle has just happened. I love that. Alija, that's incredible. I've been talking myself out of pursuing. Oh my gosh, yes. You were meant to be here today. This is it. This is your sign. Absolutely. And it is, like, honestly, as I said, all of us on this path will have times where we're like, oh, I'm just going to throw the towel in. The miracle is coming. But it will only come if you stay on the path. It will only stay if you come on the path. And if you just like keep putting one step in front of the other, keep taking that next step. What's my next thing? What's my next thing? On and ever forward. Now, guys, I have a very exciting announcement. I have decided to do a brand new version of kind of what is considered a classic course in my world. And it's called Operation Greenlight. Some of you may have done the OG Operation Greenlight, and some of you may have done a second version, but this is like a whole new Operation Greenlight. So Operation Greenlight is going to be this time round a 3-day class plus a live Q&A, and we're going to do it actually next week, the 21st, the 22nd, the 20th, the 21st, 22nd. You will have lifetime access if you sign up for it. I have decided to make it a paid course, okay? So it's not a free course. And my reason for that is really, I want people to be invested. What I see is that sometimes when I offer things for free, people are not very invested. And what I mean by that is, like, you've paid nothing for it. So you're like, oh, I won't even bother showing up. Or you show up one day and you don't bother showing up the rest. This is going to be an in-depth intensive on actually getting your script off the ground. And yes, we will be talking about the conventional path of finding a producer. But we will also be talking about what it means to decide to make it yourself and what you would need to do in the next few months to make it happen and how to make it happen so that it is not overwhelming at all, but actually becomes something that's super exciting and super easy and super doable. My whole thing when I made my first movie, and to be clear, when I decided to make my first film as a screenwriter, I'd been working professionally as a screenwriter for like 3 years. I had no experience making films. I hadn't made a short film. I hadn't made a music video. I had not been to film school. I had not worked on people's sets. Like, I had no business, in a sense, doing it. My mantra during that period of putting together my film was, oh, snail, climb Mount Fuji, but slowly, slowly. It's actually a haiku. And I had it above my desk, and I just looked at it all the time. And it's funny because this journal actually goes into that time. And I'm just like, this is it. I'm just like a snail climbing Mount Fuji. I'm just this little humble thing trying to climb a really big mountain. But if I do it one step at a time, I'm going to get there. So in Operation Greenlight, you're going to learn that approach. You're going to learn how to make it not overwhelming, but also how to set yourself up for really big success with your film. So if you have a screenplay and you are like, want to put your chips in and really make it happen this year, I invite you to join us for Operation Greenlight. You can just literally comment Greenlight and you should get the link. And basically right now it's only $17 to join it. 17. So it's not, I'm not asking for a lot of money. It's worth so much more than that. The price is going to go up to $97. But right now you can join it for $17. And we are going to have so much fun. And it's going to be 3 days of in-depth intensive to really give you the tools that you need to get your script on the screen. No more excuses. We're getting this shit done, right? So if you want to do that, comment Greenlight and then sign up. And as I say, right now it's $17. And that is really just, I want you to like invest in this. I want you to say, right, I want to be part of this and I'm going to show up to this. And this is actually meaningful to me because I see that this is a way that I could get my script on the screen. Right? Like I see that this is something that could really help me get my script made. And this is not airy fairy stuff. This is not highfalutin, like pipe dream stuff. You're going to get like real specific tools, both for selling it. We will talk about that too. But as I said to you, selling scripts does not equate to scripts getting made. And it's a really important distinction. It's something really important to understand. It's a wonderful thing, optioning a script, getting a check for optioning it, but there's no guarantees it will get made. The one way you guarantee getting your script made is deciding yourself to make it and deciding that you're going to raise the money and you're going to make it happen and you're going to do it. And going back to my miracle, I mean, I can't believe that in the space of under 18 months, I went from being this person like sitting there feeling absolutely defeated because my script had not been chosen for a lab to 16 months later getting invited to the Sundance Festival as a filmmaker. And just to be clear, that was, I ended up winning 2 awards there. It was a complete game changer in my life doing that. And it all started with me deciding to actually just make the film, not to wait for permission, not to wait for someone else to choose it. So this is not a recap from a former life. This is going to be a completely new version. I'm using the same name because I just like it, because it always inspires me. And I see this as operation. It's like, okay, let's roll up our sleeves. Let's make it happen. You want green light. Green light means your script on the screen. Green light does not mean selling your script. Green light does not mean optioning your script, getting paid for it. Green light means your script is getting made into a movie. So that's the operation. That's our mission. We are going to be covering it in this new live masterclass. So if you want to do it, as I said, just comment green light and then you'll get the link and you can join us. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that this session has just got you a little bit fired up. I hope maybe it has given you an invitation to think in a slightly different way. I hope also it has given you some fuel if today is a day where you're feeling a little bit depleted, like, is my miracle ever going to come? Or if that day is not here today, but comes next week or next month or whenever. Because as I said, being a writer, being a screenwriter means you're going to have those days. And if you don't have those days, it means you're not putting yourself out there, and you need to put yourself out there more. So do we have any questions? If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat now. And otherwise, I'm going to be signing off here in a minute. But I hope you're all having a fabulous day. And I hope you have a fabulous week. And I hope you make a fabulous movie. So you just need to comment green light here, or I will pop it into my links afterwards. It's a funny little URL. So I can't, it's not like dianebell.com/ I will make it up later. I'll probably make one later called dianebell.com/greenlight. But right now there's nothing like that. The only way to get this link right now is comment green light here, and then you'll get it. And what I really want to do is just get you jazzed up to actually make your film, to realize you can get your script on the screen and the power is yours. It is nobody else's. So we talked about at the beginning, that often we feel like the first 2 stages of getting your script on the, your script on the screen is you got to write the script, and that's for you. And the second part is then getting other people on board, right? And what I want you to see is that actually that part, you're the power as well. That's what we're really going to be dialing in. What's the most important takeaway today? That's a good question. What's your most important takeaway? Do you want my version? I'll give you my most important thing. The most important takeaway today is never fucking give up. Never give up. Keep going. Keep knowing where you want to go and keep going. And think in different ways about what you're doing. Be innovative. Don't get stuck into just one thing, one way, and blocked off to other possibilities. Be willing to try new things. All right, my loves, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you'll join me in Operation Greenlight. We're going to do it next week. I'll talk about it some more before next week. And if you have any questions, pop them over to me. This is going to be a really great class. I know it, right? And it's not going to be, by the way, this is not going to be slides, this class. I'm just feeling this is going to be really us. We're in a classroom and we are just chatting about how we get you made. How we get your script made, I should say. Not you made, your script made. All right, my dears. So pop it in the chat, green light, if you want information about that class. I hope you can join us. It's only $17 right now, so small investment. But invest, and show up. Because if you do, I promise you, it will move you along. All right, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.